Give me 3 examples of businesses which are going to benefit from the rapid adoption of AI.
So software development, healthcare, financial consulting.
What is the most ridiculous search query you have read?
Either this person's trying to rob a bank, ended up asking, I want my face protected, I still want to be able to breathe, but it should cover my nose, holes for my eyes, and I want to bike.
Explain me how does the answer comes in?
A lot of it just has to do with filtering out really low quality domains. And then there are subtle things you can do based on the region, based on the user's past queries, based on the current query itself. You can re-rank the final set of links.
You're in a sort of competition and race with all these large companies. Who loses the most if you win?
The one with the most to lose is Google.
What would beating Google be like?
Google employees and their kids, they all use Perplexity because it's a better product.
Our today's guest is Aravind Srinivas, who's the founder of Perplexity. He has raised millions of dollars, which has gotten funded by Nvidia's founder and Jeff Bezos as well. We learn how AI actually works and what's the future of AI.
And what's the craziest conspiracy you've heard about AI?
AI god-like thing that you can use to control the whole universe.
But do you think that's possible? Do you see any potential political threats coming on Perplexity? I think Elon raised $6 billion for XAI.
Yeah.
Are you scared of Elon? आगे बढ़ने से पहले इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए ताकि हम आपके लिए इसी तरह से और इंसाइटफुल और बेहतर पॉडकास्ट बनाते रहें। एंड इस पूरे शो का ऑडियो एक्सपीरियंस स्पॉटिफाई पे अवेलेबल है जहाँ पे आप हमें फॉलो कर सकते हैं। एंजॉय द शो। When you think about India or just let's say world, and you want to compete and you want to be the best, you want to be number one.
Yeah.
Why keep name as Perplexity?
Yeah.
It's so difficult to say.
I know.
I was talking to so many people in the organization because I use Perplexity.
Yeah.
And there are 2-3 people who use Perplexity. And then when we spoke to everyone that, hey, you know what? We're going to get the founder. We'll do this. And they're like, it's such a difficult name. We're never going to be able to even download it and use it.
Sure.
And it's an important question.
Yeah. So this goes back to the origins of the company. When I started, I didn't really have a clear sense of whether we'll build a search app or consumer application. None of that. We knew we wanted to do something in search. We knew we wanted to build unique experiences that were not possible before. But we're not dreaming big we're gonna build a billion user product potentially. So when you pick a name for the company, you pick something pretty cool, and easy to get a domain for. I didn't have much money at the beginning, no funding. So perplexity.ai was available for $120 for 2 years. So I just got it. And Perplexity is a metric in AI that measures how well you understand something.
Okay.
So very geeky, I get it. But once you get even more users and more funding, we can just buy the rights to some crazy name and just do something 4 or 5 letters. That would be amazing.
Interesting. Okay, so there is plan to actually change it. This is a problem you're aware about.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's one of the worst names you can pick for a consumer company. 100% aware of it, and I'm not going to defend maybe we can do something the company will still be called Perplexity, but the product can be called something else.
Yeah. Fair. I was looking at the list of your investors. Jeff Bezos happens to be one of them.
Yeah.
Did
He
you
came
meet
much
Jeff?
later. He's not the earliest investor.
Okay. But did you meet Jeff?
Yeah, I did meet Jeff.
How did that happen? How did you go from being this guy who doesn't know much about this business genius and how this model will make sense to getting a Jeff Bezos, the Jeff Bezos investing in you?
So we reached out through a common contact, and then they responded saying, okay, why don't you send a document, a memo. He likes to read memos. And so I sent that, and I also made a nice demo where it's an imaginary demo of Jeff talking to our voice to voice system, where his voice is talking to it and that system is responding back. And the questions are about Star Trek and Blue Origin and things like that. And I recorded it myself and then sent it over, both the memo and this. And for the first investment, he didn't even meet me. They just said, okay, I've just seen the memo and looked at the demo, and he's approved the investment. So, okay, fine, that's awesome. And then we asked for permission to use his name in the public release of the funding round. They said, yeah, go for it. And that became the headline essentially. So that really helped us. Thanks to him. Subsequent after that, like when we kept making more progress, he reached, that was the first inbound request, like, hey, Jeff wants to meet and get a update on the company and your strategy. And again, they asked me to write a 6-pager. I wrote it. But that's a really good exercise, writing these memos in 6-pagers. It takes a lot out of you to write one, but it's totally worth it for your clarity. And he explains why too, right? He's done it. So I've written it and then had the one-on-one meeting. It was for an hour. I thought he's not gonna, he certainly wouldn't have had time to read it.
Yeah.
So he's just going to use the first 30 minutes to read it together. But no, like he just directly got to the points. He referenced specific sections, what he liked and what he was not sure about. Asked me for things like what I think about like the chip space and stuff. And no time was wasted. It was like basically getting to the second meeting, and at the end, like he just said something of like, your success doesn't rely on Google's failure, which is why I'm pretty optimistic about your chances. And you just got to keep moving fast. And of course, the only thing that matters is customer experience. Like just retain the users. Don't be a leaky bucket. Make sure retention is high. Everyone's gonna like just push you for getting as many users as you can, but maintain your growth rates. Don't try to aim for like something crazy, but absolutely make sure that as you grow, your retention is like only increasing, not even staying flat. So he had all the right messages. I mean, we knew it, but it was always great to have it reinforced by someone like him. And then I met him in person in another event later. So I met him like totally like 2 or 3 times. It's pretty awesome. A lot of people think he's like not very plugged in anymore, but I would say he's like literally was up to date with everything when I met him.
What do you think is the reason? Why did he invest in you?
I mean, look, I really don't know. He probably
What do you think? I know that you don't know. I mean, he knows it better, but what do you think? Why did he invest?
I'm guessing he probably tried out the product and it worked as expected. And I thought it's...
But he must be getting 1,000 products which are living up to the expectation and working as described or explained. Why you?
Well, we had a lot of visibility already by then. A lot of people using it. There were very few products on the market at the time also. Like ChatGPT was there, but it wasn't even doing browsing reliably. And Google it was called Bard back then. It wasn't even called Gemini, and it wasn't really like good. Microsoft Copilot wasn't good. Bing Chat wasn't good. So we actually had a pretty good time to attract a lot of users where like our service was basically not possible anywhere else. So that differentiator was clear there. It was not like one among another product. And the other thing he probably, my guess, is the existing set of investors were already pretty incredible. The team was shipping really fast. I think these are good attributes for a startup. And we were very efficient in the way we got to where we were. Like before we raised that round, we had raised very little money. And we did not spend it on training our own models, but just continually investing in a good product. We had a core thesis that your model is not my concern, for the user. And I think that appealed to him because it was literally a play on his, your profitability is not my concern.
Yeah.
You get the package in a day. I don't care what it costs you to do that. So I think it was a customer focused AI company. Maybe he wanted to be part of the journey.
Good. And he probably liked the way you were thinking about it way more than
probably
any other thing.
I really don't know.
I'm also making a guess.
Who knows,
I'm asking
right?
you.
Maybe that demo was pretty cool.
I'm trying to prompt so that you give me an answer which is beyond just your product.
It's I've never asked. Maybe next time I meet, I'm just going to ask him hey, why do you invest? Because honestly, it's you could argue it's going to create conflict at some point. Amazon, Alexa is also going to be in the operating in the space. And So maybe there's some deeper reason, or maybe it's not that deep. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's usually when someone of that stature actually takes up personal time to invest and then meet the founders, it has to be something deeper, because
I hope
a
so.
couple of millions of dollars for him is gonna, like, it's peanuts. It's not gonna mean anything.
Yeah. It's not.
So he doesn't, like,
financially.
really
It
care.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything to him. And again, look, like if we become really big, even then, I think the valuation at which he came in and the amount he put in, like, it'll move the needle for him a bit financially, but it's not for that reason. There's like a lot of other ways for him to do that.
Exactly. And what do you think makes him special? Why is he the number one? Why is he one of the biggest founders in the world? Because you met him, did you notice or observe anything different that makes him a star founder?
I think he has incredible clarity of thought. Like the thing I said, like, there are some of the wisdom that he gave is timeless. The your margin is my opportunity thing is timeless. Like it keeps on coming. It is the core truth to like most disruption stories, where someone else has to protect their margin and they're in an innovative dilemma situation, and like someone else eats the lunch with a better technology. And like he has all these frameworks, right? Like repeatable frameworks, like one-way door, two-way door decisions. Where should you spend your mental compute on? And his shareholder letters are like a masterclass in good writing. So the reason I really respect him is when you try to scale a company, you have to kind of have some version of you or your thought process in every meeting. Otherwise, because it's physically and like impossible for you to be in every meeting and like driving decisions everywhere. So you have to be able to write down how you think and how you make decisions, which is going a step further. It's not just about making good decisions. It's about writing down your decision-making framework so that others can think in a way as clear as you.
Yeah.
That requires even higher order clarity. And he did it at Amazon, and I scaled the company a lot and built like many businesses simultaneously. And I think that I'm definitely not at that level. I cannot do that right now. And I don't think many CEOs are like that good either.
True.
So that is a very unique Bezos thing. Like he totally nailed the like shareholder letters and like decision-making frameworks and like how to understand the market. Even recently, in an interview with Sorkin, he said this thing that was like very profound. It's just like, we usually overestimate risk and underestimate opportunity, almost all of us. And a corollary of that is like, we don't take enough risk. Like we are all like, we're like there's a reason why most humans are not risk-seeking animals. Yeah. And another thing he said in the Lex Fridman interview was very cool. Like, we all talk about truth-seeking, but there's a reason that it's not easy. Is because by nature, human beings are not truth-seeking animals. We are social animals. We like validation. We like other people saying we're good or like what we're saying is correct. We don't care if like what we're saying is actually correct. By nature, you actually have to rewire yourself for that, and any rewiring process is painful. So I think like that clarity of thought is what makes him pretty singular.
I am a big Jeff Bezos fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in my list of entrepreneurs in the world, he comes at the top. Like he's the number one because obviously all of these frameworks and the things that he has done.
Yeah,
I think it makes ton of sense, and I can go on and on him because I've read so many things and I've like used so many of his frameworks to make decisions in my day-to-day life. All the dumb decisions that I've made in my life, which have actually turned out to be good, was because of this one regret minimization framework that I've heard
100%.
from him. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like regret minimization framework. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that has made me do dumb things in my life. But in most cases, it has been a pretty lovely one.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I was so, I was having a lot of urgency to start the company because I knew that, I had some of my own reasoning too, which is I knew that my cognitive abilities are on a decline. You have to accept that.
Yeah.
Um,
How old are you?
I'm 30, but I know that I'm on a decline. I can try to fight it, but I can clearly see the kind of insane things I could do when I studied for JEE or when I was at IIT, cramming last minute before the exam. I could download like 10 lectures in my head in the last 3 hours. I can't do all those things anymore. So I wanted to do it as soon as I can. And the regret minimization framework was also clearly there, which is, look, it's only going to get harder to start a company because of both your abilities and other constraints in your life that come. So the regret's going to go up and your abilities are going to go down. So you better start now.
Yeah. But okay, explain me how does the answer comes in. So the moment I type something in Perplexity and I type the question.
Yeah.
Does it show answer based on my interest and what I would be interested in? Or does it show based on some level of merit? Like, what is the way that you show me? Because as far as I understand about Google, it depends a lot on the location I'm in, my past history, what kind of things I'm interested in. Then Google shows me some set of those things and maybe like keywords and stuff like that. But a lot depends on two individual people. We have tried this multiple times.
Yeah.
Two people from the same location searching the same thing probably shows like 3-4 top different things, right?
So I think in the case of Google, the reason you see different results might not even be personalization. Google runs A/B tests a lot, ranking algorithm A/B tests, UI A/B tests, a number of ads on the query. There's a lot of other things that end up making the result pretty different per user. The biggest level of personalization you can make is location, actually. That gives you most of the heavy lifting in terms of personalization. So what we do when you ask a query is we pull up relevant results from an index we have. We look at ranking signals that we can get from many different search engines. We pull them all together with a proprietary algorithm, and then we let the model read all those retrieved links, pull relevant paragraphs, use that to synthesize an answer and pull the right final citations, and allow you to keep conversing by keeping things in context, keeping the past sources, past answer, past query in context. As it grows, it gets more challenging. And we do all this with pretty minimal latency that makes the product feel fast yet pretty useful. So the hard part is actually the orchestration. You can do a lot in what links you retrieve at the first stage that can make the answer quality really, really good without even improving the model. A lot of it just has to do with filtering out really low quality domains. That gives you a lot of heavy lifting to quality improvements. And then there are subtle things you can do based on the region, based on the user's past queries, based on the current query itself. You can re-rank the final set of links, and we do all that. But we've generally seen that location, genre, are big predictors of what final set of links that you need to retrieve. And any more personalization can improve the quality a bit, but most users or most queries are not going to see the differences.
Right. So if you and me type the same problem here together, are there chances that we'll see the same answer?
Most likely you will, unless, by the way, as products and companies get bigger, a lot of A/B tests are run pretty much every day because that's the only way to improve the product. So if you see different answers, it either means different models we use for that, or the query reformulators, the ones that are taking your original query and changing it a bit. Those models were different, or the ranking algorithms were different. Literally verbatim query, if you get different answers, the only reason has to be A/B tests, and you cannot do anything about it. Every product has to do this because the only way to iterate and improve is run A/B tests on holdout sets and see if the retention was higher, or number of queries, so that user ended up going up, or there were more follow-ups to that question that were relevant but not re-clarifying the original query. So that means the original answer was correct. We collect a lot of signals like this, and so my hope is that even if you see a different answer, it ends up conveying the same thing rather than one answer is like completely contradictory to the other.
Got it. So now do you get in investor meetings now that you have some such star investors, you have a bunch of capital now? Capital is never enough though, but you have capital and you have good investors.
Yeah.
Right. You have SoftBank as well.
Yeah, we have SoftBank, Stanley Druckenmiller, a bunch of really great people.
Like bunch of great people, right? Now do you go into your board meetings or investor meetings and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to beat Google.
No, we don't talk about how to beat Google. I think we just talk about how to grow Perplexity. Just being very honest with you. Like, I think the Google positioning is very interesting, mainly because like there's a reason they cannot ship the same product to 1 billion users yet because of the invader dilemma situation. So it's very interesting, but they're also very clear-eyed about that, and they're building Gemini and they're trying to like make it as, at least like, oh, if there is an app that truly kills Google, it better, we also own one of it, right? My hope is that in the next generation of search, where we're all going to converse and ask questions on voice and get tasks done, I hope there are multiple players there. And Google will certainly be one of them. There's no question about it. And OpenAI will be one of them. We hope to be one of them. Meta is likely to be one of them, XAI. So I'm hoping like there are a lot of players here, and it's a much more, I still think there'll be a winner with a dominant market share, but I hope it's like it's not like a 90% winner and like 10% rest, and that can be avoided if you're like having enough capital to compete and like innovative on like features you're shipping and figure out like new business models outside subscriptions, new ways for commerce to happen here. You have to do all that work. There's a lot of non-AI work to be done here. And so we talk a lot about those kind of things in board meetings rather than like, oh, how can I get everyone's like, single word searches that are happening on Google and Perplexity. That's impossible. I'm not going to get it unless like I literally displays your browser, your operating system, everything, right? Like that's not worth thinking about. Rather, it's worth thinking about like, okay, there are some kind of searches that clearly people are coming to Perplexity for, not going to Google. How to grow those kind of searches, which is actually new, right? We were not earlier, at least me, I was not going to Google to like type in like a full question ever.
Yeah.
So that's a new ability that some people are not even aware they can do, and that'll grow. And I think that market, how to monetize that, how to grow that, how to like bring it to more verticals, how to get in front of more users, that's where it's really worth focusing the energy on.
Okay. Compare, for a layman like me and for all the viewers who are watching, compare Google with Perplexity for me. Yeah. What are the weaknesses which Google has?
Yeah.
And those are the weaknesses or the gaps that you guys have seen and you're solving it for it.
Yeah. So the median number of words on a Google search is like 2 to 3 words. I think 2.3 words maybe. The median number of words on a Perplexity search is like 10 words. So people on Google, like if you actually go to trends.google.com and look at the top one, not the rising ones, the top ones are always like single word searches: Amazon, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, weather, score, cricket. It's like single word searches. And that tells you what people are mostly doing. They're just navigating the web, Sometimes they ask like very quick, fast facts, like Sachin Tendulkar age or something. You just quickly get it right there. But you're not asking questions like, how many times has Tendulkar scored a 100 and India has lost a match? You're probably not going to get it quickly on Google. Yeah. It'll give you a bunch of links. You'll have to open them. You have to read and parse and figure out. You can ask those kind of questions on Perplexity. You can ask Sachin Tendulkar age also on Perplexity, but there's going to be some overlap in the searches that we can share. But there are just going to be some searches that are clearly better done on Google, which is the quick, fast navigation. And there are going to be some searches that are better done on Perplexity, which is actual answers to questions. Yeah. Now you can ask me, how many people are really asking these kind of complicated questions? Today, not so much. We get 20 million queries a day, and maybe like 80% of them are like pretty deep questions. But over time, it's going to grow. you're not just going to ask those kind of weird esoteric questions. You're going to ask things like, how do I fix my, how do I renew my Aadhaar card? I'm actually outside the US, or like my passport tore and like I'm stuck in this country. What do I do? Like these are the kind of questions that are going to like grow.
Yeah.
And I think you're not going to go to Google to that for two reasons. One is Google was never like meant for that. It's ingrained in you is not that user habit yet. So that muscle memory is not something that we're competing with. So we can actually like be the product, go to product for that. Number two is even if they ship things like AI overview or like answers right there, they don't actually know when to like do that, when not to. And it becomes a, like a kitchen sink of so many different UIs in one search page, which really frustrates the user.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually competes with their ad business and like revenue traffic, right? So that's where I think we have a clear opportunity. And this category of searches is going to grow exponentially in the next 5 to 10 years. And we won't be the only person to capture that market. I think ChatGPT will also compete, even though ChatGPT started off as a writing tool.
Mm-hmm.
They're also like going more towards these kind of prompts. And Gemini will also be a player in this, but it's going to be a pretty interesting new market that's emerging.
Yeah. So without even knowing about this, you're right. I use Perplexity for this only, like, and it's so subconscious that I use it for XYZ reason, because probably the first time I asked question, it showed me the kind of answers which made me ask more deeper questions.
Yeah.
So I would really go on Google and be like, hey, Sachin Tendulkar's age, or how much this person's spending, or whatever, like some random, very easy one-word kind of answer.
Yeah.
And then I would go on Perplexity and be like, okay, what's a specific core message of this person in this speech in this year?
Right.
And then this is the specificity I go to, and then I get an answer.
Yeah. By the way, I would say just, like for the correctness of it, both sides will do what the other side is doing. Like we'll try to get even faster at like quick, fast facts, like Sachin Tendulkar's age, or how much did India spend on transportation, those kind of like things, and make the experience better for you so that you don't have to go somewhere else for those questions. Like why even the user burden of deciding when to use what tool?
Yeah.
And at the same time, Google will also try to get better at like, pull-ups that require multiple hops of reasoning. So both things are going to happen. And that's why it's interesting moment for the user, like of like who's going to deliver the best orchestrated product. Is it the one that's starting from answers? Or is it the one that already has links and these one box answers? Nobody knows, right? Because you can argue in both favor. Like the more general system can build the final solution faster versus the legacy system that's trying to like, layer in things together.
What would beating Google be like?
It would feel amazing. Like and I was definitely inspired by Larry and Sergey a lot, and the founding story of Google, the academic roots. They're deeply inspired. I mean, I've worked as an intern there, both DeepMind and Brain, and a lot of the Google culture, engineering focus. I'm a big fan of that. So it would feel great to have a product that, look, I think the true test is if even people within Google, like Google employees and their kids, they all use Perplexity instead of Google because it's a better product, not because they want to like, they stop liking Google and they move for it. But like they truly, there's no other choice. You have to use it because it's a better product. I think that is the true benchmark, and that's going to take a while.
But what would it look like? Like, okay, so you said it'll feel amazing, but what would it look at? Like, at what point will you know that, okay, we have done better job? Give me 2-3 markers.
Yeah, like so today we do like 20 million daily queries, right? It has to get to like 2 orders of magnitude more, like 2 billion. Now you can say that's lower than what Google does. Like I think Google does like around 6 to 8, something like that. But because of the query length here, I would say that we've done the job. And you can see it, right? Like look, the younger generation has less loyalty to Google as we do. So they're actually, the older generation allows these voice-to-voice systems. The younger generation also allows using these conversational systems. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the behavior of the new generation changes. So one way to mark, like a marker, is like what product do they use when they grow up. And my prediction is it won't be all Google. Let's play the long game here. Like, it's not necessary to win every single user.
Yeah.
And I think that mentality of like, oh, I'm the next Google means I need to have 90% market share should go away. I think no one's going to be that next Google. So when I say we are competing with Google, I'm only saying about the core search experience, not the Alphabet unit or the Google stock. So a lot of people like use this, criticism for us saying like, oh, like, look at this competitor, but then Google stock keeps going up. Okay, listen, like they have like so many other businesses, and I'm not saying the stock's going to go down ever. Like, it's a safe investment to make. They have Waymo, they have like so many new businesses that are coming up, DeepMind, AlphaFold, like quantum chips. So it's a great company, but the core search product for the first time ever in like 2 decades is clearly under threat. If it was not under threat, they wouldn't be doing like Gemini and AI overview, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So is it fair to say that the success would look like when an entire generation would use your product as a default, the way one generation uses Google as a default? That would beating Google mean like?
Yeah. Or having a higher market share there. Like,
that's what, like entire generation, like a majority of the generation using one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say like it's split like, 40, 30, 20, 10 with among 4 tools. I don't know what they are. Maybe us, like Microsoft, Google, Meta, like something like that, right? I think that would be a pretty big win. And I hope like unanimously that the global aggregate is that. And that would be an even massive win.
Yeah.
But even like one generation would be a great win.
Where do you stand today? Give me some comparison. I'm interested in this. Let's say
right now the AI usage is like, I think ChatGPT has 80% market share right now.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware.
And you?
It's all depends on the web and the mobile. I believe on the web we are third and Gemini is second. On mobile, I think Gemini has more installs but extremely poor retention. So in terms of actual usage on mobile, I wouldn't be surprised if we're number 2. And I think like Copilot has a lot of installs too, but lower retention than us. But clear winner right now, both web and mobile, is ChatGPT. But that doesn't need to remain the case.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really interesting.
And in terms of funding, if you want to compare yourself with, let's say, ChatGPT, Google, and you, where do you stand?
Oh, come on. Like Google has like $100 billion in cash.
Yeah. And
and ChatGPT has raised, as an OpenAI.
Yeah.
They've raised, the last round was probably like 10 billion. And I think they're going to raise more. And they've already raised like 13 billion. So in total, they raised 20 billion or 25 billion, right? And they can definitely they have the brand to raise more.
Yeah.
So we have not even raised $1 billion so far in total.
How much have you raised total?
In total, we've raised around like 800 or 900 million, right? So
and the last round was around?
Yeah, we raised 500 in the last round. So clearly, like from one end, if you look at our funding rounds, it looks massive. But on the other hand, these are like three, like one has 100, another has 20, raised 20, but burning 5, like losing 5 billion a year. So it's not exactly the same. And us is like, we raised not even $1 billion. So clearly these are 3 different, like orders of magnitude on the spectrum. But the nice thing is like, just because you have the money doesn't mean you win. Like I said, if that was true, then we would never have been in the conversation.
Yeah.
So the one who can ship the best product has like a good chance. Lower bureaucracy, faster movement, lower distractions, clear-eyed focus on just the product. Definitely has like a lot of advantages here. So what we need to ensure is like keep growing our usage, keep growing our brand and mind share. Figure out ways to like monetize well too, so that we don't just end up with like a big pile of cash and a lot of users, but don't know how to turn that into real business. We don't want to be in that sort of spot either. So, but don't like overemphasize revenue over growth. So that if we can ensure we get these basics right for the next 2 years and keep shipping cool things and staying ahead of the rest in core user experience, then we have a good shot at like playing this game. But if we don't, like there's nothing we ship that others don't ship in like a matter of weeks or months. And if we are not growing our user base, and if we don't know how to monetize the existing user base well, we're definitely going to be in a difficult spot.
And your current focus is revenue or growth?
Growth.
So you're not going to focus on revenue for a while.
We'll make good revenue to the extent that like, at least on the paying users, we have good margins. And on the free users, the cost of running the service keeps going down because these models get cheaper, and we'll figure out ways to make it cheaper algorithmically too. But we're not going to obsess about like making revenue and turning the company profitable next year.
Yeah. Okay. And then what about XAI? You read the news yesterday? They just circulated. I think Elon raised $6 billion for XAI.
Yeah.
Are you scared of Elon?
I mean, come on, like, what? It's not scare. I'm a fan. Like, he's a, inspirational entrepreneur for me. And I think it's cool that he's also building something here in the space. And I would never underestimate him. The quote is like, never bet against Elon Musk. My hope is like, there's a lot of people who, there's not like one product everybody uses here. There's a lot of people use different apps, and he's also going to work in the search space. Clearly, like Grok's doing some web sources too. My sense is like there are a lot of verticals to build here. There is finance, shopping, travel, local, weather, news, sports. Like, so even within each of these, there's so many sub verticals. And like entertainment is there, shows. So there's a lot of things to do here that like some products will be amazing at some things, some products will be worse at other things. And I feel Elon's entry just makes the whole market even bigger. If something is worth his time, then it just means like the market's huge.
But does it bother you? Does it scare you in some say?
No,
because there are already like a lot of star players and the big players with big deep pockets, and then there's Elon as well. Now he's entering into this space where you are operating, and you are you're number 3 right now. You want to escalate it to number 2 and then eventually number 1, but then there's this guy, and you said the world says that don't bet against Elon, right?
Yeah, I mean, by that I mean like he's not going to lose. Like, he's definitely going to have a good market share, and he's going to win in some manner.
No, but what does it mean? Like, if someone like him raises the money, does it mean raising money for you gets difficult?
So it's complicated. Like, obviously, money is not infinite sum, right? Similarly, GPUs are not infinite sum. Like, there are some zero sum games there because just constraints in the world, how much capital there is and how many GPUs you can make.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, there are some advantages having a lot of capital, but at the same time, it's also how you spend it. So XAI, for example, has raised $6 billion, out of which they intend to spend $5 billion on just building a data center with 1 million GPUs. At least that's what I read. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's an overestimate, but let's just assume that they spend 60 to 70% of the cash on just building data centers. So that's not how we are spending our money. So the amount they're actually spending on the core product and making it better will be probably comparable on a yearly basis. And I think that gives you a pretty good shot if you're not training your own models. And now you can ask, like, oh, what if they train an insanely better model than the rest?
Yeah.
That just makes their product way better, that no matter if you use other people's models, you're not going to be as good as them. Again, like, it's possible, but I wouldn't give it a very high probability because so far the trends are that models are like, there are like too many players and they're all like playing ping pong, and like it's very evenly contested. Like Anthropic's there, Google's there, Meta's there, OpenAI's there. So I think there's good thesis for a company like us, which can use all of them and just focus on the user.
So now that he's a part of the government as well, does it give him any edge?
I mean, my sense is like he's never really taken any advantage of that. And like, for example,
not yet.
okay, like I would just go by past actions are a good predictor of future. And he owns X,
Yeah.
right? But it's not like he de-amplified any of his rivals' tweets or company rivals' tweets. He could have done that, like just gone to the algorithm, like tweak the knobs to like lower the engagement score for those tweets. He could have done that and like hurt the marketing efforts of everybody, except he himself. He's never done that. As far as I know, OpenAI always dominates the Twitter discussions, and he owns the platform. He lets them thrive on it, despite his rivalry. So I think that already shows like he doesn't combine like his power or ownership of something that's very powerful with like his business interests. So I think like whatever work he's going to do in the government, I would just assume that he truly cares about the country, and he's not like combining his business interests with that.
You also said in Lex Friedman's podcast that Perplexity is not succumbed to political power the way Google is. What do you mean by that?
Like, Google in the past has been like accused of like at least like ranking bias, where if you typed Trump news, you would get both. It would kind of reformulate your query to like Harris, Trump, and give you like both articles. Whereas for if you just type Harris news, you'll just get her news.
Yeah.
Or autocomplete, like when you type in Google, that your queries are auto suggested, right? If you type Donald, like the next suggestion is duck and not Trump, and Trump doesn't even show up in the other list of suggestions. At least 3 or 4 instances like these, like where Google clearly had some ranking bias. I think, like, for example, the Joe Rogan Trump podcast, when people went to search for it on YouTube, you couldn't even find it. So we don't have these issues as far as I'm aware. Like, we've tried to be pretty politically neutral. And again, it's easy to build from a clean slate than having something and trying to correct it. But at the same time, I'm also reading news of Sundar meeting Trump a lot, and like Sergey went and met Trump, and Sundar clearly sent out an email saying, gone are the days where we had like political opinions and the only thing we care about is our mission, delivering correct information. So clearly, like, they're changing. And so maybe what I said, in the Lex podcast 1 year ago may not be relevant now.
Do you see any potential political threats coming on Perplexity at some point?
I see. Look, you don't know. Like, there are always unknown unknowns. If there is some article that said something negative about somebody, and that's surfaced in an answer, and like someone's upset about it, and even though the answer gives all perspectives, there are chances that some group of people could get upset about it, right? So anytime when a group of people are involved and their sentiments are hurt, there's like room for politics to become part of it. And it may not even happen in America, it might happen in some other country. And censorship and free speech have like different levels of relevance in each country. So we're open to like, working with each government, like individual government, like what they think is reasonable for their country. We have to abide by their rules, right? I've been very clear about this. I'm like, Google in the beginning, I think they had all these opinions of like them being above governments, and like, what they really care about is like true freedom, like that sort of like, you can read their culture, don't be evil, like just be free. And they refused to operate in China when China wanted to censor them. So reality is like everyone's a capitalistic business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're all competing to win government contracts. At one point, Google Cloud employees protested that Google's working with the Pentagon, and now like they just fired those people who did it again, and they're competing with Amazon and Microsoft to win those contracts, because clearly that moves their revenue up and moves the stock up, and that's what the shareholders want, right? So I think like we're not going to repeat those mistakes of like what they went through, where they forgot that they were actually a company and like trying to like have political opinions and things like that. Like, we're going to be like a proper, well-run business at the end. Great product. Like, we want to be a great product. but we have clear responsibility to like our shareholders, and we're not gonna like confuse that with like my agenda or like someone else's agenda. All that stays outside the company.
But would you lose out on these opportunities even if it means sacrificing revenues for your company?
What do you mean by lose out on the option?
Lose out on opportunities of trying to maybe partner with some person, some government, somebody who wants little bend in your rules and in your platform so that it shows searches in their favor. But that means you winning a lot of government contracts, you winning a lot of revenues, and eventually that maximizing your company's value.
Complicated question, right? Like what? I don't want to say something that'll be held to, like, obviously. We'll try to do what's like right as to the best of our abilities as possible. But if a certain government has rules that you have to obey, if you want to like just think about it, leave us, even you as an individual, if a certain government has rules of what you can do and not do, and you want to continue there and like run your business there, you will follow it, right?
Yeah.
Or you have to move out.
Yeah.
The same thing applies to a business like us.
But sometimes it's not rules. It's just few influencers calling you. That's it. It's not about the rules. Like rules are pretty much black and white, and you can be freedom of speech. You can show whatever you want to show. But maybe the ruling party wants something else.
So
because these are the political pressures which probably a Google faces, or like a Meta faces, or maybe
X.
Twitter faces, like X now. Right? Jack Dorsey has been very vocal about it, that specifically about Indian government and a lot of other governments in the world, that there are some pressures that they have to actually listen to.
I mean, like, I just look at the fact that even someone like Elon, way more influential than me and way more opinionated than me, like how he's handled like conflict with countries in different ways. Like with, I think there was conflict with India at some point, there was conflict with Brazil at some point, and I think the way he went about it was different. So long answer short, it's very complicated.
Because you're in India, I want to talk about challenges of India. Okay. What do you see, like, where is India today in terms of, in the world of AI? How far are we from becoming even a contender in the AI world?
Yeah, like I mean, I'm sorry if I'm repeating what I said earlier, but I think we are very well positioned in terms of adoption. Like we've already adopted a lot, like 92% of knowledge workers have adopted AI here compared to 65% is the global average elsewhere. So the amount of people who already know how to use these tools and like can keep themselves updated with it is pretty awesome. You don't need to like train them or something. Like when I went to Japan, I saw like there were like actual courses on how to learn chatgpt or like all these different tools. There are people writing books on how to use Perplexity. I don't think you even need these things here. People are already like pretty acclimatized to these things.
What are the challenges that you see here?
I think the challenges are, how can people using these tools earn more? They should ideally, because they should be able to do more work now, faster throughput. So I hope like the usage goes beyond just like identifying hacks and cheat codes to get work done faster to like, okay, this thing is actually making my life so much easier. So I'm going to like figure out side gigs that I can do and earn more. And if like a bunch of people start doing that, the average income goes up and GDP goes up. So that needs to happen. I hope it's already happening too, at least at a small scale, but that really needs to happen. The second thing, a challenge I would say is, okay, now that you guys really know how to use these tools and you get a sense of it, can you start building apps and businesses that can let other people use things in a way that are not possible with the existing tools? Whether you build it for the Indian market or the international market, doesn't matter, but build something that doesn't exist yet and get it in the hands of like 100 million people here and create new market caps from nothing, right? Employ new people here and like give them opportunities. So that's, again, creation of value that needs to happen. So the bright side is we know how to use these tools. The flip side is like we have to figure out how to increase the GDP of our country. Per capita GDP is more important of our country through these things. And I really hope like one advantage that we have, healthcare, is looked upon more seriously as an opportunity space.
So you said people should start earning more.
Yeah.
Give me 3 examples of businesses which are going to benefit from the rapid adoption of AI.
I would say healthcare.
Okay.
I would say like a lot of like software development, easily like, a lot of other companies. I think like there are a lot of independent consultants here who like do coding gigs for others. I think they can do a lot more now per unit time. So software development, healthcare, I think just financial consulting.
How a financial consultant can use AI to give better
so take like have the AI look at your portfolio and have the AI go and research the web on like latest news related to each of these stocks. Read analysis reports, private reports prepared by all these banks like Goldman Sachs or Barclays, sell side reports, and then come back with the investment advice of like what you should be like changing to adjust it, or new stocks that you should be looking into, new changes, equivalent of like several hours of actual research that an analyst doesn't charge us for. If you can have an AI do it, arbitrage that and give it to more people who usually don't get access to these kind of consultants, and everybody wants to make money, and you take some cut of that and like create market value from nothing, right?
So AI-based financial advisors, AI-based healthcare advisors, or maybe agents who are connecting you to multiple doctors.
Or just allowing you to get quick checks on like what's happening to you, uploading your reports, having it be audited by an AI, and then using that and going to a doctor. All these things are like clear opportunities.
Okay. And what are the businesses that are going to feel the maximum tension because of AI? They're going to fail because of adoption of AI.
Software consulting, right? Like if you can get work done with the help of an AI copilot, coding copilot, like you're no longer like gonna rely on like a huge farm of dev shops. Customer support, like, call centers. I think voice agents are going to be able to do a lot of these things pretty well. We should try to disrupt it ourselves, like whoever's going to these call centers and doing these calls, and like we should try to like do it with the AIs as much as we can. So obviously some people who are going there are going to lose their jobs, but whoever is like running these businesses can potentially have higher margins too, and those margins can be used to give those people that are potentially going to lay off like different kind of jobs, right? I think we got to do some restructuring there.
Okay. These are the 2 places where you see the most. I have 2-3 like fun questions. One is, what is the most ridiculous and bizarre search query you have read?
I think someone like ended up asking something very particular for like, I want my face protected. I still want to be able to breathe, but it should cover my nose, and like it should just have the holes for my eyes, and I want to like bike in the winter for Thanksgiving, like help me figure out like which city I can go to and like what I should buy, like, and we ended up giving him like a really nice like product recommendation.
Okay.
And when we actually we saw that product getting purchased, either this person's trying to rob a bank or they're really like in a cold place. So we went and actually like checked the query, and the query was so long. And again, like this is the kind of thing that people are very creative in like using these products that,
Interesting. And what's the craziest conspiracy you've heard about AI?
Well, there's always this conspiracy theory of like AI, this AGI is this God-like thing that you can use to control the whole universe by building a super intelligent entity. And whoever has access to that will be the mastermind. And some people think Sam Altman ultimately wants that. But I don't think it's that level of power craze. By the way, there is true power in being the CEO or the chief decision maker of a company that's building the most intelligent model. But I don't think it's being built with the intention of controlling the universe.
But do you think that's possible?
I think it's going to be like, it's not going to like fool people in doing things. It's possible, by the way, that like a very intelligent AI can manipulate people.
Yeah.
But I think the power games are not going to come from those things. Like, it's not like, oh, a politician wants to have access to it to win the next election or something. They can do it. But the real danger is going to be more from if you can throw like the equivalent of 100 most intelligent scientists, but working 24/7 on like a very hard pharma problem, figure out a new drug and like the next Ozempic or something, and sell it for a crazy premium. And you completely own the solution. The only way you even got to the solution is you had the ability to spend that much inference compute. So those kind of situations are weird, like one country getting the end output of a very super intelligent AI that they can use to their advantage in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of that, the next order effects are another country trying to steal it in some manner, and that leading to like defense problems and warfare. Those kind of situations are possible.
Those are the big and real worries.
That's what I think will happen if we have like super intelligence. I'm not talking about general intelligence. Super intelligence is a weird thing. It's not a thing we understand today because we're not used to super intelligence. It doesn't really exist. There are people that are being extraordinarily intelligent, like Einstein, but you wouldn't call even Einstein super intelligent. He cracked like 3 or 4 very important problems.
Yeah.
But it's not like there was an equivalent of a computer Einstein that just, I could throw any domain, any problem at that computer, and they would come up with the equivalent of theory of relativity for that problem that has massive like economic impact too. That doesn't exist. But once it exists, whichever country has it, the next country that's trying to compete for being the world superpower will also want it.
Yeah. If you happen to be that person when you and you are at the top of the pedestal, you become the most powerful person in the world of supercomputers and AI, what would you do?
I'm happy I'm not even in that race. I think it's a very weird position to be.
I've been wanting to ask this from the point we started, right? You're in a sort of competition and race with all these large companies and incredibly successful founders, right? Who loses the most if you win?
I think I've never thought about it in a zero-sum way. There are clearly some zero-sum games with some other companies.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. I think it's not about whether we win. Whoever is going to crack this AI native answer engine assistant.
Let's say you cracked it.
Okay. Whoever cracks it, the one with the most to lose is Google. And that's simply because of their current business model. Now, by the time someone cracks it, if there are other bets, YouTube Cloud and all that, they increase the margins there and they figure out a way to like make Waymo even more successful meanwhile and get some new cash flow there and explain to the shareholders that like, look, this is clearly an inflection moment, but like we have other things and we'll be fine and we'll go for the new thing too. It's not like they're going to get destroyed, but they definitely are going to have a difficult, turbulent period. So yeah, they have the most to lose in this game and they're aware of it, and I think they're working on it.
Got it. My one worry is with the rapid adoption of AI, this happened with all the technologies which are coming, is increase of digital amnesia. So it's like a phenomena where people forget information on day-to-day basis a lot because they rely on technology.
Oh, right.
A lot,
Yeah, that's fair.
right?
That's fair.
It's like, so compared to like our parents' generations, the way we calculate things is our ability to calculate simple math problems is gone because we use calculators.
Yeah.
Similarly, when I see my younger cousins, they do their ability to just remember information is so low because they are like Google first, chatgpt, Perplexity kind of people who are just constantly using these. So increase of technology is going to just increase the digital amnesia where people are forgetful left, right, center.
Okay, let me put it this way. are you good at like driving with a physical map versus using Google Maps?
Google Maps, of course.
But I think the previous generation, like our previous generation, wouldn't have needed Google Maps. They would have taken a physical printout and like figure out.
Yeah.
Like they would have mapped what they see in front of them to the 2D layout and figured it out. They wouldn't need like accurate pointers.
It's very dynamic, right? But so little things like how your brain functions, because if you remember a little thing, then it gives you confidence to remember like the bigger things as well.
Yeah.
So today, it could be as small as something like, let's say, remembering a phone number. We don't.
Yeah.
Nobody even cares about it.
Exactly.
But that habit of telling or signaling our brain that, hey, you need to remember this little thing is getting down.
Yeah.
So that's why
which I think is totally okay.
Which is okay. I'm saying like, but a lot of times what is happening, I'll tell, because I was reading some survey which is going on. It's not proven yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think some university in Australia is doing it, where they're testing that more and more young people are forgetting to take medicines on time.
I see. But
because they don't remember. Like, it's just a small thing.
You could argue that like that's a job with the AI. Like the AI should just tell them when to take the medicine and they should take it. And like by the way, forgetful people exist already. Like even I'm pretty forgetful myself. I'm not like on top of everything.
Same.
It's because your RAM is limited, right? Now, I guess what you're trying to say is like what the next generation is going to load their RAM with is going to look very different from us. And it's going to be interesting to see like how they spend their mental compute. If they don't spend it at all and it's all just like unutilized, that's sad.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling.
I hope that's not going to happen. If they have all that free capacity and they can spend it on like more creative things, that would be amazing. And it's still like jury's still out of what's going to happen, but I'm hoping like it's going to be the second.
Yeah. If it happens like that, like all the free mental capacity that they have, if they increase their ability to work on more complex problems, it's going to be great.
Yeah, that'll be.
But if it happens the other way around, which a lot of people are worried about, that's something I feel is, I don't know what's going to happen then.
Yeah, I mean it'll be bad.
Yeah,
because our if you like roll out multiple generations after that, like it's only going to get worse. So we really need to make sure like they are being thrown at like hard problems and like, given all these tools and like, hey, go figure it out.
Got it. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for coming here.
This was awesome. By the way, I heard you're the Joe Rogan of India. That's what someone told me. Is that true?
No, I am the Raj Shamani of India. Let's just put it this way.
Cool. Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming here. I really enjoyed our chat. I have a bunch of questions for you, but maybe we'll other time do it again.
Yeah.
And try to figure out all the best for your India trip.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I read your one, I think it was some interview, some podcast or some like an outcome of this. And the thumbnail was like, I'm going to beat Google.
Yeah. People make these thumbnails.
That's why I asked you this question. Do you go to these meetings and be like, hey, I'm going to beat them?
I mean, you're a YouTuber, you understand.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this podcast till the end. अब आपको 3 चीज़ें करनी है. सबसे पहले इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो. नंबर 2, कमेंट्स में हमें बताओ कि और कौन से गेस्ट हैं एंड और ऐसे कौन से टॉपिक्स हैं जिनमें आप चाहते हो कि हम पॉडकास्ट बनाएं और आपकी उससे ज़्यादा बेटर हेल्प होगी एंड आपको ज़्यादा वैल्यू मिलेगी. एंड नंबर 3, ये एपिसोड किसी एक इंसान के साथ ज़रूर शेयर करना जिसकी लाइफ में एक पॉजिटिव चेंज आएगा, जिसको इस पॉडकास्ट कॉन्वर्जेशन सुनने के बाद लाइफ में हेल्प होगी, क्योंकि एक कॉन्वर्जेशन इज़ इनफ टू चेंज समवन्स लाइफ. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep figuring out.